How will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready.
And when he asks us to dedicate ourselves ever more perfectly to him, how will he find us?
Awake and ready.
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
friend, beloved God,
friend, beloved God,
great Masters,
great Masters,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
beloved Master,
beloved Master,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
we humbly bow before thee.
we humbly bow before
We
thee.
thank you in deep gratitude
We thank you in deep gratitude
for your presence.
for your presence.
Help us
Help us
in our supreme effort
in our supreme effort
to attune our lives
to attune our lives
after your great example,
after your great example,
that we may become one with thee
that we may become one with
and
thee
channel your blessing,
and channel your blessing,
your life
your life
into this world.
into this world.
Om. Peace. Good morning, friends. Have a seat. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways. The time has come for us to see that there's but one reality upon the earth and high above, the truth that all was made from love, a love that calls to us to fly above the hills, above the sky, above the storms, above the pain, a land where peace and laughter reign. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways, guide all our hopes and all our dreams, past every glow that only seems, into the light, the inner sun, into the truth that we're all one. Help us to find in every hour, in every thought, in every flower, a joy that spans eternity, the truth that makes us ever free. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways. The time has come for us to see that there's but one reality upon the earth and high above, the truth that all was made from love, a love that calls to us to fly above the hills, above the sky, above the storms, above the pain, a land where peace and laughter reign. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways.
mind, in every hour, in every thought, in every flower, a joy that spans eternity, the truth that makes us ever free. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways.
Continue to meditate. Keep your focus at the point between the eyebrows. As I read to you about our affirmation this week, sharing. True happiness is found not in possessions, but in sharing what one has with others. Thus is one's self-identity expanded as he learns to live in and enjoy a greater reality. People who gladly share with others feel themselves bathed by a constant inner stream of happiness. Sharing is the doorway through which the soul escapes the prison of self-preoccupation. It is one of the clearest paths to God. And now let's affirm together, first in a strong voice, grabbing the attention of the conscious mind. What I give to others, I give not away.
What I give to others, I give not away.
For in my larger reality, it remains ever mine.
For in my larger reality, it remains ever mine.
I am happy in the happiness of all.
I am happy in the happiness of all.
And now in a regular speaking voice, what I give to others, I give not away.
What I give to others, I give not away.
For in my larger reality, it remains ever mine.
For in my larger reality, it remains ever mine.
I am happy in the happiness of all.
I am happy in the happiness of all.
And now in a whisper, bringing it into the subconscious mind, with deeper focus at the point between the eyebrows. What I give to others, I give not away. For in my larger reality, it remains ever mine. I am happy in the happiness of all. And now silently broadcasting it to the superconscious level. What I give to others, I give not away. For in my larger reality, it remains ever mine. I am happy in the happiness of all. And pray silently with me. O infinite giver, teach me to find happiness through others. Om. Peace. Amen. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Good morning. As my priest would say, as I was growing up, don't worry, I'll get you home for the big game. In case anybody is interested in the big game today. Super Bowl. Football is big in Georgia. Just say that. I'm reading to you from Rays of the One Light Weekly Commentaries on the Bible and Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. And this is the mystery of Avatara, or divine incarnation. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. The Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter states, as we saw last week, O Bharata, Whenever virtue declines and vice predominates, I incarnate on earth. Taking visible form, I come to destroy evil and re-establish virtue. What is the mystery of this divine manifestation? Great avatars such as Krishna and Jesus Christ are born as babies, even as we all are. They take human form and go through normal human experiences as they grow from childhood to adulthood. They eat, they play, they may seem to suffer sickness and disappointment like the rest of us. In what way are they different from other human beings? The important thing to understand is that even as they are like us, so are we also like them. Their realization can be ours too. They come on earth to show us our divine potential. The difference lies not in the manner of their manifestation on earth, but in the consciousness with which they are born. All things are condensations, so to speak, of the cosmic vibration, Om, described by St. John's Gospel as the Word. Most human beings, however, are unconscious of their divine origin. The avatars, on the other hand, come consciously as manifestations of that divine reality. As the Gospel says in the first chapter, "And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Good morning, friends. I'm going to share with you this Whispers from Eternity. It's called Worship of God as Sacred Joy Found in Meditation. O Father, from joy I came, for joy I lived, in joy will I melt again. Thou art sacred, perennial joy. Thou art the joy I seek. Thou art the everlasting joy of the soul. Teach me to worship thee through the joy born of meditation. Balance my worship with good action, and teach me to shun all false pleasures which siren-like call to me through my misguided senses. So I was meditating on this topic of the Avatar, which is a very profound and important one for us to understand on a cellular level of our being. And as we begin to tune into the Avatar, the divine incarnations, we start to catch a glimpse of their consciousness, which is one of, like that whispers, sacred perennial joy. And this is why in the Indian scriptures they say one moment, right? One moment in the presence of a saint can be your raft over the ocean of delusion. It's just like that chant that we sang, "O thou King of the Infinite, I behold thee in Samadhi." Do you remember when Paramhansa Yogananda writes about an autobiography of a yogi that of his most sacred experiences in his life was when he met Babaji? And I've often thought that this chant perhaps was an expression of that meeting that he had with Babaji. And he said he held that as one of the most sacred experiences of his life. And he wasn't going to share it, but then he thought, well, if I share with others that I have seen the great Mahavatar with my own eyes, then it will give people faith, right? And an understanding that this great master does exist. And people that have read autobiography, right? Many of you, I'm sure, have had that experience when you start to tune in and realize, wow, there's a whole other level of being happening here. So to contrast that with perhaps a more mundane story, we had our Friday night, our 3-hour meditation at Larchmont. And last week, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, I think, those of you who were here last week, I shared that story. There was this woman who was passed out cold, like out for the count, like in the big game. It was like the big fight, you know, and she was she was out like for the 10 count. And so then this past Friday well, Andrea has been in the back row there for the past couple of weeks, so she's more witnessed the what do we call it? The semi-samadhi state, the almost there state. And so now this Friday, there was one woman that laid out, and she said, well, you know, it'd probably be better if you sat up. And then as that woman sat up, she looked to her right, and there were two other women who were in the child pose, and she heard, and they had blankets over them, and she heard snoring. So she asked them to get up. But I wanted to share with you, Andrea has a new description for our Friday night meditation. It says, all welcome includes prayer, chanting, snoozing, and meditation. Warm blankets provided for those yearning for a long winter's nap. Our only request is that you remain sitting up. Too tired to sleep sitting up? No problem. Our blankets and props are cleverly designed so you can prop up your head and sleep in an upright posture. You know, of course, the truth is, right, the avatars are coming to wake us up, right, to awaken us to our divine potential. Do you know what the avatar is? The avatar is that perfected soul that has overcome all karma. You know, if you think of like a ceiling fan, you know, we've got this big booming air conditioner here, but if you think of it, that fan that blows in the air conditioner, that's like our karma, right? The thwarting cross currents of desires, the way Yogananda put it, right? Different likes and dislikes. And when we overcome that karma, it's like pulling the plug. And there's still a little bit of residual karma. And so once we pull the plug, we become a free soul, a jiva mukta. And once that fan, the ceiling fan, has stopped moving altogether, then we become supremely free, what the Indian scriptures call paramukta. But it is one of those souls, one of those supremely free souls, when they come back, right, with the, as the Master said, with the desireless desire to help other people. When that soul comes back with a special dispensation, that is an avatar. And when we start to tune into an avatar, there is a underlying grace in consciousness that we start to realize that is in fact who and what we are on the deepest level. I behold thee in samadhi, in joy and in more joy. Right? When we have just that one glimpse in that one moment, it gives us a soul remembrance of who we are, of where we're coming from, and where we're going. And so the question for us then becomes, well, how do we become like the avatar? How do we attune ourselves to the avatar? We hear all of these expressions in our teachings about attunement, but what does that really mean for us? Have you ever heard that expression in the Bible? I grew up Catholic, so I heard a lot of Bible quotes. I never understood what they meant. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. And I heard that quote. I never understood what that meant. You think about that. In him was life. In who? Well, this is what the reading is talking about. The only begotten Son. It's not Jesus Christ the man, right? It is the only begotten because it's omnipresent. It's the omnipresent, infinite Christ consciousness, or the Krishna it's God within creation. And so it is that's where our life comes from. Right? When we think we're so big and we know so much and we have so much money or we have so much knowledge and we get prideful of this or that. If God were to remove that life, right, from our medulla, we're like that. When that beam light of God from our medulla, if it was removed, we would die instantaneously. So it's always remembering. That's why Swamiji always tried to say, I didn't do it. He said, God did it. Master did it through me. write the books, the communities, all these things. He always said, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Master did it. God did it. God is the doer. And we would look and say, well, geez, sir, it really looks like you did it. We felt this incredible life, right, flowing through him. But he was teaching us, he was through his example, through his discipleship, he was reminding us that God is the doer. And that the closer we get to God in our attunement, in our meditation, in our reverie for him in silence, and the more we start to feel in our activity that it's him doing it all, the more we come close to that consciousness of the Avatar. Because the Avatar, remember, like Yogananda said to that woman one time, you have a sour taste in your mouth, don't you? She said, well, yes, how do you know? I'm as much in your body as I am in my own. See, that's the state of consciousness of the Avatar. He's not bound by, he's not thinking that he's this body. He is in all bodies. He is the only begotten Son. But it is our birthright too to reclaim that we are too a child of God. And so we can reclaim that birthright by deeper, longer, thirsty, guru-given meditation. When we start to tune into the Avatar, we start to tune into his consciousness, and we start to feel, right? You might be making your bed and you feel like an overwhelming love take over you, or some kind of joy when you're driving down Santa Monica Boulevard. You feel, it's maybe not in your meditation, but right, like George was sharing with me, it's like a blissometer, you know, you're like, boop, 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 boop. You're getting closer to the bliss. You're starting to feel. And when you feel that bliss, remember, don't mistake the path for the goal, right? The techniques and things are to get you to that state. When you feel that God contact, enjoy the contact. I grew up playing soccer. It's one of my favorite sports. There's this expression, it's like, get stuck in, right? When you go on for a tackle, you're getting in. And that's like in him was life. And that life was the light of men. Why not get stuck in with our God contact? Why not go after him with all of our heart, all of our mind, all our soul, all our strength? And then everything we do becomes replete with his joy. And one of the things that, inhibits us, that blocks us from it, I was talking last week about that the superiority complex on one side, right, and the inferiority complex on the other, how we're going for the interiority simplex, so to speak, right? We're going for to strike that balance. Well, we can do that. We can remember that by tuning into the lives of the great ones and their example, and just constantly asking, Master, how would you act in this situation? What would you do? How would you have me act? And just we have that constant dialogue going, and the more we get in tune with it, the more we feel joy. And the more joy we feel, remember, that's what we're going for. Sat, Chit, Ananda, ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss. Right? It's that sacred perennial joy that it's going to wash away all your pain, all your suffering, because all of your pain and suffering, all of our pain and suffering comes from, we get that delusion of being limited to this little body. There was a story of a great saint in India. He was a great spiritual master, but he was a very humble man, family man. He had a daughter and a son and a wife, but he held his spirituality so sacred that he didn't share it with his family. His family didn't realize what a great master he was. And so his son, being his offspring, got some of that spiritual samskar, right? That spiritual tendency. And his father sort of hinted at him, you could stay and search for spirituality and your guru close to home. But the son wanted to leave, and so he went into the jungles of the Himalayas, and he found a Tibetan master and spent 20 years learning the occult science, and he gained great spiritual powers. He could levitate, he could make things manifest, and as Patanjali said, he missed the point. And he was going after spiritual powers, and he had a superiority complex around it. He had this, he was full of himself. And so he came back to his village where his family was, and he was performing great feats and great miracles. And word got back to his father that he was there, so the father called for him to come to him. And he said, "My son, show me, what is it you have learned? What can you do?" Oh, and he said, "Oh, Father, what can I do? Watch this." And they were by the Ganges there, and he walked on the Ganges, walked across the Ganges to the other side, and he came back. And he said, "Look at that, Father, look at what I've done." And the father sort of puckered his lips, and with disappointment said, "My son, here I came to see what you had learned in these 20 years, and I am very much disappointed. You spent 20 years seeing how you can cross the Ganges, which I can do for 4 cents. He said, if that's all you can do, you're demonstrating a great delusion and great ignorance. Because to seek powers before that everlasting power of God, it shows delusion." And he awoke the son from his delusion in that moment. That's why we tune into the great ones. That's why we tune into the avatars, is because they have that power. Remember, like the Bible quote that Yogananda would often say, "To all those who received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God." Remember, what you're receiving is your own infinite self. And ultimately, you are becoming the guru. He's saying, focus here, at the point between the eyebrows, like Lahiri would say. You don't have to go anywhere. I'm with you always. So we can do that as well through our meditation, through our service, and by seeing that God is the doer in all that we do and all that we are. And the more that we do that, the more we'll feel that cascade of bliss, of sacred perennial joy take over not only our lives, but it will begin to be shared selflessly with everyone around us. God bless you.